Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 39th episode of the sensational Artacast. With some, we have some news now regarding the rotation. Not too much news about which cards get reprinted, but of course some numbers, how many cards get reprinted, and by knowing that, we can know. Yeah, we know some things that can or can be and cannot be there, and also like have a feeling maybe how the new format could potentially look like. And maybe some people were disappointed that it's maybe, I think most people were a bit disappointed in how many cards get reprinted. So we get not that much new cards, but the new cards we get are like from a higher rarity in comparison to the rest. So it's like
Mm.
maybe still a kind of shake up with new cards, but we will see. But that's a different story. We had also like another set championship weekend. I unfortunately was not able to play one. I planned to get to one, but yeah, I didn't have time then. But LD, you were in a set championship, and I think you had a really cool experience, right?
Yeah, I had a really good time. I went and played a set championship on Saturday at a new store, which is like it's about 45 minutes to an hour away from where I live. And they'd never, yeah, as I say, new store to running events. They'd never run one before, and they decided to start the tournament at 5:30 p.m., make it an evening
Oof.
tournament, and which I feel like is a mistake you only make one time.
Yeah.
um, yeah, it felt a bit bad because the tournament was being arranged. People were chatting about it in like the local discords and stuff in the shops Discord, and I said in one group like, "Whoa, this is shaping up to be a bit of a disaster." Like a 5 round tournament that then cuts to a top eight and starts at
Yes.
5:30. It does not sound like it will end well. In the end, it was also I accept that was a little bit judgmental to maybe say disaster before it had started, but like full credit to the store. The guy running it saw the tournament right the way through to the end. We ended up finishing at 1 a.m., which is a late finish, and yeah, he was really good about keeping it all open and stuck with us, and yeah, just got to be totally thankful for that. It was a few hiccups with the play hub and everything, but once that was ironed out, actually, it was very smooth, and I had a really great time um, playing in the tournament. I did win, which obviously feels good, but I played a slightly different version of Purple Steel, and I did something a little bit naughty, which not naughty, but like it felt a little bit like sneaky to do it. So, backstory: last week I played in a tournament. And I played dump truck, and one thing to know about me is like I can't hold my tongue if I'm like excited about something, like I will let it out. So like as we approached the top eight in that tournament last week, I was basically just running around to different people going, dump truck, dump truck, dump truck. I love dump truck. Dump truck's best card ever. Blah 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 blah. Just running my mouth off about dump truck. Um, and as a result, all of my opponents played around dump truck perfectly, right? As you might expect from somebody playing this gotcha card who's just spent like half an hour just going, I'm playing this card, get ready for it. And then I'm like shocked when they ink a Chernobog's followers and play a Diablo turn one against me, and I never get any good dump truck targets. That's on me.
You're so
So
clever.
I went away. Yeah, and very clever. Just immediately tell everyone your exact plan, because you just can't control your excitement. It's very on brand for me. But I tried. I thought, you know what? I got to try and flip this to my advantage somehow because I've given up way too much by being way too transparent about this. And I flipped to a version with no dump trucks, zero, and
Is
I
this
said,
able to
I'm
win?
not going to tell. Yeah, yeah. That was my first worry. Is it good? Um, but Yeah, I flipped to a version with no dump trucks. I said, I'm not going to lie to anyone. I'm not going to tell someone I'm playing dump truck when I'm not. But if they ask, like, I'm not going to walk up and say I'm off. I'm on. I'm not going to walk around the room yelling about dump truck, basically. But if someone mentions dump truck, I'll just nod along and just say, yeah, yeah, yeah. Keep thinking about dump truck, sort of thing, you know. And then all my opponents played around dump truck, and I didn't have any in the deck, and I was like, oh, now I'm smart. Now it's smart.
That's so smart.
Um, so that did work to my advantage a little bit. Yeah, I wasn't playing any. I'm sure we can have a look at the list. I was playing a rabbit version of Purple Steel because my problem last week was just I love the dump truck dock version, but yeah, to quote JDRR, who is one of the go-to PS people, it says dock for two game format, rabbit for best of three, and I completely agree. It also was a really shark heavy environment, so I just thought singing Zeus is what I want to do, and did a fair bit more of that. Yeah, a few weird little quirks with this build, like it's obviously heavy on fire the cannons, but I found that card to just constantly overperform. I was really happy. It felt like playing old school Lorcana. It was just tons of rabbit bouncing, keeping refueled, massive swingy turns. You know, when you just go like one drop, Smee, dock on 3, so they can't interact with you, and then play a rabbit on 4, sing. Oh yeah, Pete on 3, not dock. Pete on 3, so they can't interact with you. Then rabbit on turn 4
And
after all your stuff's lived, because it's sing strength with your Pete to take out their 3-drop or 4-drop, and you are just leagues ahead. Yeah, just good fair Lorcana. That was yeah, really nice tournament experience. We finished really late. The drive home was really sketchy. Like halfway, I was so tired. I'd also done a full cube draft of Magic that morning before going to that tournament, like at someone's house, and had no dinner. So I full cube draft of Magic, drove to the tournament without eating, and then played through till 1 a.m. So yeah, we'll just say that the drive home was not ideal. It was, but I made it. There was no problems. Yeah, a really really nice experience. So yeah, shout out to everyone that I played. Great opponents as always, and yeah, had a lot of fun. My best set champions experience in a long time. They're all good, but this was like the potential of everything going so dramatically wrong and then being kind of fine made it feel really positive, because I thought this is going to be a disaster, but it went well. Yeah,
nice. Yeah, nice. And also winning, like
yeah, great,
with a fair deck.
Yeah, it's interesting calling it fair, isn't it? Because
it's not really fair. It's not really fair.
We've argued about definitions of what makes a fair deck before, and by most traditional definitions, this would qualify as a fair deck. But when you go, like I just described, that first 4-turn opening, sing something to kill their thing on turn 4, do the same, then sing a Zeus with your rabbit on turn 5, and then bounce the rabbit, it is entirely unfair. It's unbelievable value engine.
It's tempo.
That just yeah, it's tempo. It's tempo and value.
Yeah.
No need to differentiate because it does both at the same time. Yeah, super strong deck that just, as long as you know how to mulligan against. As long as you know how to mulligan against aggressive decks, you have so much card draw that you can just, like, all of your broom engine in the early game, when you're against grindy stuff like blue-red, you just keep printing cards and then make it so when they sweep the board, you've got enough resources behind to refill. It's, really versatile deck. And, yeah, Purple Steel is what I've played mostly this set, and I've had a really good time with it. Yeah, like I said, like I've kind of always said, I like the dock builds and I like the rabbit builds. Now I've played both. I think the rabbit one takes it for me, not just because I won with it, but it feels much more like
consistent
early set purple decks. It's just snake rabbits, and it's literally never been bad.
And rabbit will be gone, but dock won't. So you have to to give rabbit its final honor.
Exactly. Yeah. This is the last ride for rabbit. We think
maybe
it's not confirmed. Yeah, exactly. Maybe it comes back.
Yeah.
Some people will not be happy about that, but like, it's a possibility. It could be back. It could very much happen.
Yeah. So nice. We had a lot of, because that was really really cool. I just want to shortly mention it. We had a lot of responses to our topic last week about the tempo and the and the value description, and yeah, I think like I read every comment, and like everyone was right, and everyone was different. So it's like really weird. Like everyone was different, everyone was right. So it's like a really complicated topic. Also, shout out to Frank Carsten. He responded to us and like showed his description of value and tempo as well in the like article. I was not able to read it till now. I was like kind of busy, sorry, but I will read it. And what I want to, because some people, just to excuse myself, want to point out is like we had this example of Ursula seeing Friends and what it is, and I just forgot to say it's of course value is it, of course, like that's clear, yeah, but it's the question is it additionally tempo or is it not? And I would say it is additional tempo, and because like people were just, I know not many, but some people were calling me crazy because I said like it's tempo and not value. Drawing 4 is always value, like but it's like the tempo is always like, for me, has to do something with the relation of ink, of an ink number, and the outcome, what you get out of that, like like if you, what you do for one ink, if it's more than it's supposed to do, that it's good tempo. That's always like what I see as tempo. But that's yeah. Do you have to add anything as well, or did you?
No, it's really hard to add anything to the discussion without completely reopening it
Yeah,
and spending
okay.
another half an hour on it. So I do actually have something to add, but like I want like the escape rope to be there.
Yeah.
I want to be able to pull the cord and get out of the conversation.
Yeah,
I want to just like drop an opinion which could be explored further and then move on. Yeah, the other thing I was going to say is that I think, after thinking on it, I think that a lot of people, their definitions of tempo revolved around playing to the board, which I think is completely spot on. But I think that there are, in most of the cases, it is all about board presence and relative board presences. But there's a weird thing that goes on in some games where some actions that would be last week we talked about ramping. Like, is ramping a tempo gain? And we settled, and most people seem to settle. No, it's not, but it's an investment in your future ability to retake tempo advantage when you start having more impactful turns where you spend more ink per turn than your opponent is, and you retake your tempo advantage that way. There is something very interesting that happens on the draw against a ramp deck, for example, which is like you can play a 1-drop on the draw, and then if they ramp on turn 2, it's not a tempo play, but they almost fully, in doing that, they can almost fully invalidate your sort of tempo playstyle, if that makes sense. They basically throw down the gauntlet and say, this is the critical resource of this game. It's going to be on your ability to playing to the board. I am going to be sweeping the board so far ahead of schedule that playing to the board is not going to deliver you the advantage you need it to for long enough. So you have to start thinking about other resources instead, how you can maintain parity with that. And when they start aggressively ramping, then you have to start thinking about, how can I play to the board such that I force them to sweep the board while maintaining enough resources behind that I can rebuild, and hopefully you funnel them into a line that you make them commit to a line that leaves them lighter on cards in hand for an early sweep versus what you've managed to maintain at the same time as forcing their hand and making them sweep the board. I don't know where I'm going with any of that.
No,
but it's
I totally understand. But that's why I think tempo is not necessarily a board thing, because it's like it's more than that. It's like board tempo is one part of tempo, I would say. Like, and tempo is also like a very neutral word, because like it's not like necessarily means something positive or negative. Like for example, cards like Finders Keepers or something like that are a very good description for tempo for me, because like in these like basic cards, you see what they see as a average tempo play. Because like Finders Keepers is for me like, okay, that's what I'm supposed to do. Like for 5 ink, you draw 3 cards is neutral tempo. I would say neutral tempo. And when you do more or less, like if you like draw 4 out of 5 ink, then you do a positive tempo thing. And that doesn't mean necessarily it has to do something with board, but it's like to do more than you're supposed to do with the certain. Because like in Lorcana, the only resource you really have regarding tempo is ink. There is no other. Like in other TCGs, like there was like, how can I explain? There were some kind of other resources that regarding tempo, for example, Chernabog, for example, the big Chernabog is you could say like there's another resource for tempo, because you have these cards in your discard and you can just slam a card with no cost because you have enough characters in your discard. But in the cards are so limited in this game that have some effects like this, that you can't see like cards in your discard as an important resource for your tempo play. I don't know if that was understandable. I don't know. It's like there's no other resource in Lorcana for me that enables you to play something than ink, of course. Like yeah. And that's why I think it's like a bit more neutral, and it doesn't always has to do something with board. I don't know either where I want to go with this, what I said, but it's like, yeah, maybe you listeners get something out of our weird conversation, but it's like interesting. And thank you everyone for just for responding, because like it's very interesting, I think, to talk about this stuff. And
it's like we said last week, I find it really interesting. It's almost weird that this is true. That there are these concepts that, like you say, everybody's responses for the most part were true. They were also all different. So we have like this, we universally agree on the existence of these abstract concepts that we all define slightly differently, yet we all agree that they're the same thing, sort of, Like we all, it's a very, very like interesting little situation that we understand the role these concepts play in the game. Everyone defines them slightly differently. Nobody's really wrong. Some people are more right than others. Some people give a more complete definition that is, a little more robust. But like, no one's wrong. It all makes total sense, which makes it a really interesting topic. It should also be a topic that you'd expect it to be the kind of thing people could just argue about forever, because you've got two slightly different definitions of the same thing that both are right. You'd think that's a recipe for just infinite arguing.
Yeah, of course.
People seem to be quite civil, which is great. I found that really interesting just to see.
Because we all don't use these terms like perfectly. Like if you sing Zeus with rabbit or a genie, then you don't say, if one says, "Oh, that's so value," then you think, yeah, it is. And if someone else says, "Oh, it's so good tempo," then you also think, yeah, it is. Like it's not like, we don't use that very, very strict or something, and it's fine.
Yep.
Okay. What else? We had some news about the rotation. I think that's worth talking about.
Definitely.
Most people were a bit upset, I think, because they just confirmed in the Lorcast that they reprint a lot of cards in this new set. Like it's 171, if I recall that correctly. So it's like more than 80% of the new set will be reprints, but it's kind of a bit misleading, because like the not reprinted cards are, in comparison, have a more rarity than the reprinted cards. So like, for example, the legendary cards are split, I think. Like the half of them are reprints and half of them are new. And of course the legendary cards often, sometimes at least, have a more impact to the game than like commons or uncommons. So that, yeah, it's could still be shaken up by some new cards a bit, the meta game as it will be.
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
what was your initial thought?
I can take you through my whole emotional journey with it, which is that when I first saw the numbers, we kind of said, we've said for the last couple of weeks, we were sort of hoping for a lower number of reprints because it's always nice to have fresh tools instead. So when you see the high number of reprints, your gut reaction is, oh no, I could think of 170 cards that if you reprinted them, the format literally doesn't change because there are less than 170 widely played cards in those first 4 sets. So we think about it from that lens, it feels very negative. Like you said, the rarity skewing is what makes it interesting and makes it like not as significant as it might seem. So we know that it's one reprint per ink, that one legendary reprint per ink color. And the other thing we concluded last week was that the most important thing from this whole reveal season is what isn't reprinted. That will have the greatest impact on deck building moving forward. And there are some things you can already rule out. So Maleficent Monstrous Dragon is confirmed as Ruby reprint. Looking at the numbers, we know that will be the only Ruby reprint at Legendary, and which tells you that Big Sisu won't be back. That has a very big impact on deck building, doesn't it? Because that's been warping the way decks are built for a long time. Not so much in the last set or so, but for a very long time before it was. And it's very, like, not knowing that that's not coming back is really important. So I think that
Do you think
you do
there's a
have a
small?
lot.
Do you think there's a small chance of them downgrading the cards, like Sisu making Sisu only make a a super rare card?
I know that someone asked the question during the Lorecast. They said, "Will there be any downshifting of rarities?" I don't think they got a definitive
Answer.
answer, but the
Mm.
the loose answer they got sort of suggested no. I think it'd be weird at this point to shift rarities.
Mm.
What I could see is functional, like within the new cards, you could have some number of like toned down versions of things they
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to reprint, if that makes sense. So you might have like a Rapunzel that draws 2 or something, or
Mm-hmm.
a Sisu that doesn't quest for 3, for example, might be a very balanced card. Um, um, but yeah, I don't think we'll see any downshifting of rarities. I'd be surprised if we did. That would be a real surprise. So yeah, I think you could realistically rule out Big Sisu from coming back,
Mm-hmm.
which is already an important bit of information for your brewing and testing moving forward. A lot of your 2 strength stuff suddenly starts looking a lot more playable. Some of the cards that weren't before, obviously we don't know the status of cards like Brawl and things like that, but just Sisu not existing is pretty significant for
Yeah.
quite a lot of decks. And as the reveals go on, you'll be able to piece a few more of those things together. I do think it's worth us acknowledging, by the way, we do know that there are leaks
Mm-hmm.
that have made their way into the public domain. Um, I'm sure. Let me know if you don't agree, but my position is everyone wants information, and once it's out there, it's very hard to not take it in. Don't expect, we see it, we're not ignorant to it, but as content creators and people that are lucky enough to be given a card reveal, I think it's sort of our responsibility to not directly pass that information on until it's confirmed, because for people that maybe have some leaked cards as their reveals, that would be a really negative experience. So
Yeah.
yeah, for me, I think we wait till it's public and then we can discuss it after. But I do accept that the information's out there.
I totally agree. Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah,
But I think there's enough to talk about regardless. And
yeah,
I think
there is.
still, even if we would know that there's still some, no definitive, um, still no definitive answer to how the metagame will evolve. I think, sadly, a lot of brewing people do right now. I know it's exciting and I totally understand. Doesn't make a lot of sense, probably, because like there's so many things we don't know, and but it's very exciting, and I'm hopeful because we know for example like Green Legendary will always be one, and then we know that it's not Ursula and Diablo, and that's a really big important thing for decks like Green Steel or something. That won't be there anymore, probably. That's exciting. I think green decks in total will be hit the most. That's my first impression now, because obviously, like, just Prince John is such a big impact for the color as a whole. At least how they are played right now. If you see all top performing green decks, if it's not exactly green purple tempo, then they all have Prince John, and Prince John is a significant part of their game plan. So it's like hard to imagine some of these decks, how they come out of the rotation. Green is the most how can I say, the most question mark color for me. I don't know.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's a really good observation as well, is if you know that there are multiple format / deck defining legendaries from set 1 to 4 in a same color, you can say definitively they won't both be reprinted. So you either get Ursula or Diablo, and based on what we saw before with Ursula getting her text updated in the companion app, she's got to look more likely than Diablo, right? And
Diablo is something I wouldn't understand. I don't know.
It's really high on a lot of people's lists of cards they don't want reprinted, and people are such vocal haters of the card for such a long time that it would be a peculiar choice to reprint
because
it.
It's not a necessary card. Like, it's not. I don't know. The Ursula I can totally see a bit. Like, you want these green song decks to I think that's okay. Although she is also pretty strong, but I think I can see the idea there to reprint her. But like Diablo and also Prince John, I mean, it's not confirmed or something. He's only rare, so there's a possibility.
I was going to say you're talking about Prince John like he definitely won't get reprinted. Are you that confident? I don't know if you should be, because he could be back.
If there's one card, I would be really, I don't know. Just the rage bait. It's a real rage bait from them. It is. Yeah, it's. I think, like I said last week, it's more easy for them. I think it's more safe for them if they just reprint not a lot of controversial cards, obviously, because like of course, that's the safe way to not get like flamed by the community, like if you only reprint nonsense cards or like smash and one jump ahead, then you don't get rage, of course, like, obviously, but you also need to sell the set, so you need at least some amount of playability in the set,
yeah, totally. It would be a very weird choice to reprint Prince John, especially given that Big Sisu looks like it's out of the running. So, if you take a card that's near impossible to interact with and like remove one of the only things that reliably killed it from the game, it would be,
But a Sisu,
it's not looking great.
Sisu not reprinting means for me that we have. I think today we got like the confirmation that we get Baby Sisu and Strength back.
Yeah, that was on an official looking it was on a piece of I don't even know what you'd call it. It was like a digital flyer type thing. But,
I don't know. Because some people were like getting anxious because like if Baby Sisu comes back, I don't think it doesn't mean anything for Big Sisu too much. I think it can totally be there. just baby Sisu to be back and not big Sisu.
Mhm.
I don't know how you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the number crunch telling you that it's very unlikely to have a second red legendary should be enough to make you feel comfortable that Big Sisu won't be back. Baby Sisu is
I think it's
is
a
a
good.
pretty
It's
important.
okay. Yeah, it's okay. Sorry.
And I was just gonna say it's yeah, it's like it's a fine card, isn't it?
Yeah.
It plays a specific role. It is very fair. It can feel very, very strong after playing a coil or something, for example. When you get like a big trade up with it, it's amazing. But when it's not threatening the shift, it's a very different card. That's for sure.
Um. Yeah, and it's totally. I think yeah. Just also the uninkability. I think it's totally
Yep.
fine. The other card, I don't know. I'm very lonely with this opinion. When I talk with my friends, but strength is something I really thought they see as not to be reprinted, because it's like, I just thought my feeling of their thoughts was, but that yeah, was obviously wrong. It's like they thought they saw like how strong these steel songs are in the beginning of the game. They didn't print any steel removal song since set 3, I think,
Hmm.
because they think it's like too swingy. And then they reprint the best one. In my opinion, the best one. I know it's controversial, but I think, for example, if you, because like people say Storm is, yeah, we had it last week, but like if Cindy doesn't exist, I think Storm would. I
Mm.
could easily see Storm not being a highly played card, and I think
Yep, I agree.
Strength is a absolutely no brainer for often. I think in any steel deck nearly, it's not even like also inkable, and I think a lot of games are decided by who draws the strength and who doesn't, but that's just my feeling maybe. And also in a world where Rapunzel doesn't exist, maybe we don't know that, but yeah, it's kind of likely. I know it's not likely, but we only get one reprint of Ember, and yeah, that has to be
Mm,
Rapunzel. So I would like now guess we get no Rapunzel. I don't know. Um, just from the probability. And then I think the strength is even stronger, because like the problem was sometimes like you can't strength as long as Rapunzel is threatened, because like then your character is exerted and then they can run in and play Rapunzel. But if that threat is also not there, I think strength is a very swingy card. And then I think we need a really good board wipe if strength does exist. That's
yes.
my opinion. Because like
Yeah,
this is so
I
swingy.
agree.
This is so swingy sometimes, and then we need catch up tools for that. Or at least we need
Hmm.
catch up tools, like more like, well, I don't know, rush Mauis and stuff, or I don't know. Like, because these games can't be decided too much by these early swingy turns, by removing something for free. Because that can be like, for some decks it can be really challenging to catch up on that by the simple fact of something got just removed for free. And people say, oh, but it needs a setup, but the setup, I don't know, it's not that hard. Yeah, you just don't turn it sideways till you can strength something. I don't think the setup is so hard to execute,
Yeah.
in many ways. And Zeus is also good, but it's like it's uninkable, and it's a big part for me, like of making it less playable, and
Yeah.
makes it more tricky to include in your decks, because like in some slower decks, you often don't want any removal at all, and then you,
Mm.
yeah, just because strength is inkable, you can just in these matchups like ink it and play something else. And yeah, Zeus is still a tricky card to include to your deck. So I would
Yeah.
personally love to see maybe Zeus and maybe even Ant Storm getting reprinted and Strength not, but they decided
Mm.
to reprint Strength, and then I hope they don't reprint the other two, because then these steel piles will not change at all, I think. Yeah, I don't know how you see it.
Yeah, no, what you're saying about Zeus makes total sense as well, because that's one of those cards that a lot of people think are, just like it's just straight up amazing all the time. But
Mm-hmm.
actually, it's set to get a lot worse, because one of the key points of friction that you have with Zeus is it really doesn't play nicely with Doc. A lot of the Doc decks struggle to include copies of Zeus, or that many of them, because this is just thinking through the case of different purple steel builds, how they've been over the
Mm-hmm.
last few months or so. One of the separations is like you either play Doc and skew a bit lower in ink cost, or you play Rabbit with Zeus um, as your kind of engine. And Amber Steel losing Whole New World, Purple potentially losing Rabbit. In these steel decks, like Doc is looking like it's going to be, at least for a while, the primary draw engine, which makes cards like Zeus a bit harder to play, because
Mm-hmm.
if you get stuck with these multiple copies of like Doc and Zeus in your hand, you're really bricky. Things get really, really bricky. You don't want to be tapping out on turn 4 to just hard cast a Zeus.
Mm-hmm.
It's in most cases not going to be that good for you. And if you are just there with this gummed up hand full of these uninkables that you can't do a lot
Mm-hmm.
with, or can't use as efficiently as you should be able to, it's way worse. So, that card would feel quite a lot more balanced in an environment without some of the other things that have supported it and made it really great.
And of course, like it's
Yeah.
much more constraining for you. Like we could like say, I don't know that happens for that. That's also true for some other cards, but the goal of these reprints should be like removing all the cards that are auto include fourths. Like we could also say
Yes.
that for friends, for example, friends
Yes.
or and strength is another card for me. Like auto include fourth. There's no, I don't know. I can't imagine of a steel deck that doesn't play this card 4 times. And then of course these cards for me should be like to make our deck building more versatile. Of course, like
Mm-hmm.
should be at least seen as a bit like with a deeper look. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I said, because like Zeus is a constraining card for your deck. Like you don't,
Yep. Totally.
yeah, you have like some decisions to make to include the card. The card can be good for some answers to shark and stuff, but it's like still like a decision, because even in your deck you play rabbit and still didn't play 4 Zeus. You played only, I think you played 3, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So it's constraining, of course, a bit,
Yep.
and strength isn't, yeah. But yeah, I think if we get a good board wipe, um, that could be that would be appreciated from me, if I can make a wish for the for Ravensburger. I want a good board wipe. I know
I'm sure we'll get one.
yeah, that it's a very interesting topic, because like there are already these two parts of the community. Like one say we have to have a board wipe, and but there's also a good bunch of other part of the community that say, why we need a board wipe. But I think we need,
Mm.
yeah. Um,
Yeah, I definitely think it's needed. I don't really want to see what this game looks like without one. There should be, because it is so
Swingy then,
like the game.
yeah,
The
yeah.
yeah, the game is really, it's really mid-range grind battles
Mm-hmm.
already, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
One of the only things that keeps that in check is the threat of these like
yeah, yeah,
boards full of 3, 4, 5 drops just getting be prepped away. Um,
yeah. I think.
I appreciate that sweepers lead to bad feelings, especially for newer players, but like that can't that can't be
Yeah,
that can't be the rationalization for not having an essential like
yeah, yeah.
power check in the game.
I know in set 1 or 2, people were complaining about B prep a lot, at least in
Yeah,
my
all the
local area.
time.
And I even then I thought, I don't think that's a card you should complain about, because like
No.
it's maybe it's undercosted or something. That's something you could talk about. Like if you say like it is too cheap or too expensive, that you can say. You could say like you can make arguments at least for that.
Mm.
But I didn't have the feeling for B prep yet.
No,
I don't, yeah.
it's also like one of the most essential core skills in becoming a really good TCG player for the most point. For the most part, it's like, you know, and not all games have these unconditional sweepers, but most do. And if you're, but if you haven't learned to play around them, of course they feel terrible because you just dump your entire hand into play and then you lose the game to a sweeper. But learning the balance of how many resources do you have to put in play to force your opponent to do it versus what can you get away with holding back, understanding when the right play on turn 6 is quest out and play nothing. Like, there are positions where that's right, 100%. Understanding all those things are essential parts of getting better at the game. So I think it's like, I don't like to boil things down to just being a skill issue, but like, if you're mad about be prepared, it usually is a skill issue. It's just there are some lessons there that have to be learned about how to effectively play around them. And if you're not able to effectively play around them, it also might be a deck building issue. Are enough of your threats redrawing? Are they keeping you up? Do you have avenues to stay up on card advantage while deploying threats such that you can actually have some resources behind when they sweep the board? And I think that removing stuff like that doesn't help anyone get better. It just makes the game simple, and less enjoyable for everyone, because actually in those micro decisions between what you commit when versus the threat of a sweeper, how the person playing the sweeper can utilize the threat of it and then not deploy it and push you to commit further. There's a lot of sub decisions and counterplay that go on there that are really good for the health of the game, really high forms of skill expression.
Or you just put Pete's in your deck.
Yeah, true. So true. Nothing has ever been truer. I gotta give a quick shout out for one of my games at the weekend, to a guy called Luke, who plays locally in the southwest, and he's a super good card game player. I think he's an incredibly strong pedigree from Yu-Gi-Oh! And a really good head for games. So I always have good games with him. We played in the Swiss with the set champs, and he had a what felt like a pretty bricky hand with red purple evasives. In I think it was the first game we played with the set. It felt, he's inking cards that he shouldn't be inking. He knows better than to ink them, so I'm thinking that he's holding quite a few uninkables. I was operating on the basis that he was holding 2 B preps, and then I just set up a Pete chain, and it was like, okay, Pete, and then I just do nothing except bounce Pete, replay Pete, and then we went 3 turns of that, and then he just revealed 4 B preps to me, and I was like, okay, yeah, that is a game you just have to chalk up as a statistical anomaly and move on with your life. But Pete does a lot of heavy lifting. If you're questioning whether B prep is good for the game, fair enough, question it, but your efforts might be better directed at a card like Pete. That's for sure.
I could also imagine, like, if we get strength back, I think that says more like that it. I think it says more for me than it might actually seem, because like I also think that we get then Ursula 2-drop back. That's just my feeling, because like,
yeah,
if we don't get her back and you play like a green pile against, it's like it's so hard to fight against these uninteractable. You need interactable stuff against these swingy cards, I think.
Yeah,
Or it's like really hard for non-steel decks, you could say, to compete against that.
Sure.
And yeah, that's just my feeling right now. If that makes sense,
if steel continues to have like the best removal in the form of cards like strength, and also has the best disruptive tools to prevent that in the form of Pete, because other cards haven't been given their disruptive tools back. That's obviously horrible for the metagame, because it's just like whoever Pete's last wins.
Yeah.
Your opponent Pete's.
Yeah.
You now have to Pete, or you're about to get your 3-drop removed for free, and get really behind. So yeah, I also agree. I think that a strength reprint means high likelihood for Ursula. And the other thing, without wanting to change the subject too much, in general, that rarity breakdown of the reprints, it makes it far more likely that widely played commons and uncommons, to me, just in general, because reprints make up such a larger proportion of the commons and uncommons in the set, there's a much higher chance of those seeing reprints. So your Ursula 2s, this is this is divisive, but I say Porpsicle. Please don't shoot the messenger. I don't want it to come back, but I feel like it's somewhat likely. There are enough indicators to
I
me
think
that
the last
suggest
week,
it
what you
could.
said last week is a very good point for me. Like, they banned Fortisphere and Hiram, but not Popsicle. That could, and they knew already what they will reprint. I think that was too late.
Exactly. Well,
So
I'm pretty sure that one of the reasons given for banning Fortisphere was we know it's not coming back. Like, we
yeah,
already know the reprints. It's not coming back, so we'll get it gone now. So what can you infer from that? Good question.
yeah. Popsicle is of course, also
It's
cards
very
like,
divisive.
a lot of cards honestly are like playables from commons and uncommons, like Snake
Yep.
and Smash and some, I think,
Brawl.
Brawl, but the higher rarity ones get less likely for
Yes.
like with this announcement,
Which I think in general is good. And I think is actually,
yeah.
even though we wanted to see less reprints, I think less reprints at higher rarity is actually kind of good enough for me. It's enough. I can be happy with that because it means that a lot of these very swingy, very splashy, legendary type effects, we're not going to see some of those. So, like, yeah, at the end of the day, it is the Diablos, Big Sisus, Rapunzels that I really don't want to see back. There are also cards like Prince John and Muses and things like that, but I'm way less offended by some of these commons and uncommons.
Of course.
But also, as you point out, some of those are also the worst offenders for being like the auto include 4-ofs. So if your deck's blue, it has 4 Popsicle.
Yeah, that's
if
true.
It's purple,
And
it has 4 copies of Friends.
And the Popsicle, sadly, is not a good, how can I say, sadly, at least how it is played right now, it's very dependent on them. And then if it's like, if you draw them, you have an absurdly good card draw in your deck because you like Tamatora them forever, and then and it also often is very important if you draw 1 or 2 Popsicles. That's also very important for your Tamatora recursion. And then you have, like, if you drop 2 Popsicles, you have so much card draw in your deck. And if you don't draw them, you have nearly no card draw in your deck. And then that's not a good, of course, not a good situation, I would say, because, like, it shouldn't be that reliant on the Popsicle, how your consistency goes in a game.
Yeah,
But
agree.
Yeah, it was also the fact, like, for Rabbit for a long time, and it's probably okay. And I think the biggest reason it would still be for me, like, what does blue do except ramping if you don't
exactly
have,
and exactly what's its identity? Well, right now its identity is ramping and items. So
and all the other items were just fillers most of the time. You have Workshop, and then you have Popsicle, and then you put, like, all this stupid stuff in, like Vitalis Sphere and all this nonsense. Yeah, it's not nonsense, but it's not like it's fillers a bit.
Yeah, they're situational role players, aren't they? Rather than, like, always good, like Popsicle. It's again, I do think Popsicle as a card is too good. I think it's just something that we could do without playing with. But what I'd really like is some sort of toned down version that, like, wasn't free to put itself in the discard, because that's really where a lot of your problems are. Yeah, some sort of limitation, like a functional reprint that tones it down slightly, because in its current form, it's just a little too good. So that's what I'd like to see. But what I would bet on is that it just straight up comes back, because it's a really core part of color identity. It's in the right rarity range.
Blurple would
Yeah, I would
be.
hope it does.
People
Yeah,
say Blurple will be really strong, and you can make arguments for that. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that's what I've been saying to people is like, if Porpsicle comes back, the two cards you've got to watch are Porpsicle and Friends. Both of them are super powerful auto 4-ofs, so they should very much be in the conversation for not being reprinted. However, because they are of that sort of just like consistent, quite color defining nature as well, and they're lower rarity, they are also, you could project that they are likely reprints in some ways. If they were to both come back, it's a wrap. Like Blurple loses literally nothing. Like if the blue legendary reprint, there's a couple things that could be, but if
Lucky Dime.
if it's good for Blurple, yeah, Lucky Dime is not. Well, Blue Red hopes for Lucky Dime, but Blurple hopes for Hades. Like
Yeah.
that's what their fingers are crossed for. If they get that, if they get Portugal and Friends, yeah,
The
it's a
problem
wrap.
is
That deck is already really good. It's yeah.
the problem is then if you like want to build if Rabbit doesn't reprint it, for example, if you want to build a
Mhm.
deck with the maximum amount of card draw,
Mhm.
it is like Blurple then. At least if they're by
Yep.
the current card pool we have. If nothing of these
Yep.
new cards will be super broken regarding
Yep.
card draw, because like you have Finest Keepers and you have Tamator, and I think
Mhm.
that's something really hard to combat with other
Yeah.
colors. Just regarding just pure value, I would say. No, it's like pure card draw.
Yep.
Very hard to combat that,
Yeah,
and
it would be really tough for sure.
still has this tempo advantage often in many matchups, and yeah,
Mm.
it's potentially a very very broken deck after the
Yeah, and I
rotation.
mean, the other thing that I keep referencing when I talk to people about it is like the greatest threat to Blurple before. The one thing it really couldn't deal with was Amber Steel Whole New World decks, because they just wheeled and went wide. They don't have wheel. So for Blurple, you're potentially looking at a world where your worst matchup, which was really one of your only truly bad ones, there was your most polarized matchup, just disappears, falls off the face of the earth, because the only card you were really particularly bothered by was Whole New World, so gone. And your deck gets essentially no weaker if these cards are reprinted. Yeah, well, I don't know.
And you have the
I've learned.
only board wipe left is in one straw,
Yeah,
like,
right. Yeah, there is also a world where there's no sweeper, and then the best sweeper in the format by the de facto becomes Monstro. Yeah, over time, like I have really learned to trust my gut in this game, because I always have these thoughts. Like one thing I think back to is during the set, which was the set with all the broken blue stuff, 7. During the set 7 reveals, we were obviously very aware that these blue cards were good, but we kept saying, oh wait, no, it must have been set. What set was Shark in? Set 6.
Set 6, yeah.
Yeah, it was the set 6 reveal season. We kept saying like, I just want to play Peter Pan and Shark together. Like, I'm just going to
Yeah.
put Peter Pan and Shark in. That was the first thing we said is like, I can't imagine doing anything other than playing Peter Pan and Shark in the same deck. That looks like the most powerful thing to do from this set.
And it
It
was.
wasn't because
Yeah.
it wasn't at the time, because Hiram was still so good that the de facto best thing to come out of that was shark-based blue-red decks, because Hiram was still so.
I
It
think
had,
the constraining factor was like that you need to play Linciso in red purple to combat that. Like you had
yes,
to play like very. It was this matchup where you need to play aggressive, and you couldn't like Peter Pan Shark everyone, because you
yep,
like lose against red blue then, and red blue was a very popular
yep,
deck. And
yeah,
that's the only thing that hold it back. I think it's not necessarily that Shark was better in this deck. At least that's my feeling. But
no,
then
it's yeah, you're right. Yeah,
Flinties was very important, and also this, and also I think still like these they're mainly castle. I think in these times were also like very important because you against some decks you really needed to also blue steel. You need to flimsy the castle sometimes, and that was your win options often. Not
Yeah.
always. I think people will maybe right now. It's not always was the case, but it's like it was an important factor of the and you were not able because it was so negative tempo to play it Peter Pan on turn 3. That was so slow in this meta where your opponent just slams a Hiram and then
Yep.
doesn't care about the stupid one quester evasive and yeah.
Yep. So whether we realized it or not at the time, the format was essentially completely warped around Hiram because he was the best draw engine. Was just in hindsight, I was complaining about this at the time, as were lots of people. It was completely crazy in terms of like what he allowed ramp decks to do, but it meant that our initial read on what we saw in that set of Peter Pan with a shark in play opens up a new avenue for red purple. It is incredibly good, and you can build a deck that way. It didn't come to fruition right away because the format was held back by Hiram, but actually, once the format is fixed by removing the cards that were too good to exist, that was the de facto best thing to do after that. That absolutely was the most powerful interaction to come out of that set. And all of that basically just to illustrate, like, I'm slowly coming around to realizing that, like, actually a lot of my gut reaction to sets, environments, the first conclusions I draw about it tend that at least are like somewhat true, and I always think, oh well, in time I'll know better, or someone else will do something to show me different. All I'm thinking about is Blurple at the moment, because I just want to. I need some of these cards to not be reprinted so that my fears about the deck don't all come to fruition. I just think it all rests on Porpsicle, because you know how badly Blurple loses to aggressive openings if it doesn't have Porpsicle Bell. So if Porpsicle's reprinted, I'm scared. If it's not, I'm not. That's basically what it comes down to. But that's my like gut read is, if there is a Porpsicle reprint, I would predict a Porpsicle ban within a few months of the new format.
Oh really? Mm.
Yeah, I just think,
I don't know.
well, it's
It's
just,
like if you like
it would be a mistake, I think.
maybe yes, maybe not. I think it's like if Popsicle doesn't come back, let's imagine that, then they will just cut the Popsicle, cut the bells, and then they play 8 1-drops instead.
Yeah,
And then I
it's still
think
fine.
yeah, it's not a too big difference, I think I don't know,
Yeah,
but the draw engine from Tamator goes, and that's meaningful.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it would be a significant step down for the deck, which is fine because lots of decks are taking a step down.
yeah.
Everyone should be with rotation. That's the other side of this thing I keep saying about, like, the most relevant and important thing that we'll see all spoiler season is what's not reprinted. The other thing that's really important is that those things that aren't reprinted hit all ink colors to a relatively similar level. What you really need to watch out for. New stuff is always exciting. Yes, an open format will create more chances for you to play with cards that didn't quite make the cut last time because they were suppressed by certain things. But the most powerful thing you can do in a new format by far is just play whatever translates easiest into the new format and was proven. So whichever deck loses least should at least be your top contender for your first day of testing.
That makes sense. Yeah, makes total sense.
Let other people work out the new unproven stuff, or you can if you're like me and you just like to cook up fun stuff. But if you want to actually determine best deck in format as quickly as possible, my attention goes straight to whichever proven deck that was performing highly already loses the least. And that's a good place to be while the format defines what it is and the player base
Yeah,
as a
and
whole.
it still can be, of course, that something completely new can come up in a few weeks, and
Yeah,
that
totally.
deck is not the last outcome out of the meta, but it's still
Yeah.
like you said, like it's very likely that you have good success in the early stages.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so a lot of questions need to be answered.
Yeah,
And I'm not
it's a big week though.
and I'm a bit concerned now for my beloved. Maybe I need to rearrange myself, because like I don't, by the cards that I think, the cards that already seem to come back, I just hope we get some. Yeah, green purple needs love. that's
It
for
needs
sure.
a little something now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like purple will be yeah. I think it's very likely that it at least has some place in the meta. I would be really surprised if it absolutely doesn't have. And then yeah, it's a bad matchup for green purple, and yeah, it's not the way I would sadly look in the first. Yeah, would not be my first look, less sadly. At least how it, except we get another go, like another reach card, and that would be great. But obviously Murph and stuff would help too. But
Yeah. We could do with a functional reprint of Goat that's dual ink locked to green purple.
oh yeah, that would be great.
That'd be good. I will accept that.
Or really good action, really good, not such a garbage one that removes Iago.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
would be great too. But
Some
yeah,
sort of efficient.
it's only wishes for me. I'm a small green purple player in a small world, and I think nobody will listen to me. And yeah, I have to live with my despair. Yeah.
I think you'll be just fine.
No,
But,
I think it will
yeah,
be,
no,
I also think like there will be also maybe some other things that will be really cool and exciting. Like these, I still love my Ember Steel value deck, and I saw some people have really good success with it. So I'm really happy that that's yeah, there will be hopefully some other things to be played. But
yeah,
now, for
nice.
now,
Yeah.
it's just my first feeling is for now, green purple would not be my first few. If the
No,
potential counter deck seems to be really good after rotation, then you obviously look not on green purple right now, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a long way to go with this
Yeah,
reveal
yeah.
season, right? Which is like, and we're so dependent on some of these commons, uncommons, rares that it could all change in an instant. And that's what'll be fun about watching it all. You know, we've got Gen Con to come this week. I'm sure we'll have more revealed there. That'll be help us better understand the sort of environment we're going into. Yeah, it's like I'm actually really excited just for like a month through August of basically just theory crafting, where every day potentially of reveal season has the complete potential to just entirely upend all of your thoughts about everything that came before. It's it is really unique, and I think that a lot of people, obviously, you know, I don't want to. I know there's like different people like different things, but people are naturally a little bit sad about, well, 33 new cards is not very exciting, is it? I think if you're a deck builder, there's a lot of excitement.
Yeah,
There's every reveal of this season is exciting, because
I'm pretty sure. Sorry, no, I don't want to interrupt you.
No, I was just going to say, not just because of like what I keep hammering away at, like what doesn't get reprinted. What's going to be really fun, I'm just thinking about this, is the number crunch. Obviously, every card that comes with every card has a number, has its set number, and they are sorted for the most part, other than exceptions, like Stitch, they're all alphabetical, right? So as we go through, and people think some cards in their number relative to their alphabetical where they sit will rule things out. Like you'll get a spoiler that's like, I don't know.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have like a Megara or something at M, and then the next number along is another
I
green
know.
card that begins with
Oh,
O, and
yes.
it rules out everything that begins with N, and you can just start to like, it's like these puzzles where you're crossing out the answers. You know it's not like Cluedo. You know.
Yeah. I know. Oh God, I didn't think
like
about that. Yeah, that's true. That's exciting.
that's what I'm
Yeah.
most excited for. Is as it goes through, just like working out like you can it's going to be really fun experience to just deduce what's not there as these things are slowly revealed. I honestly think like the most important thing on some of these cards will be their set number. That's the most exciting thing you'll see on a lot of them, based on what they do and don't rule out. So yeah, I'll be tracking that. I'm sure some other people will too. It should be a lot of fun. um yeah, that's always a fun thing to do with reprint sets is working out what's back based on that deduction, because obviously you can't do it with new sets because you don't know what any card is going to be called, or it doesn't tell you anything. And yeah, I think that's like a fun element that maybe a lot of people haven't considered, but the community as a whole will be doing a good amount of that. So wherever you get your news, be it Reddit, Twitter, wherever, I'm sure you'll see lots of people posting their theories based on number crunches. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, nice. Okay, then I think we will. Yeah, I think we're. Do you have something you want to talk about?
I'm in two minds about talking about this. It's a I will mention it really quickly because I think I just have like one very short thing to say on it. On Sunday, I was meant to play in a set champs locally,
Mhm.
and it was announced the week before that the store won't be running it. They said we don't have the space, don't have the time. Owners going on holidays, the tournament won't be run. In private channels, it was then reconfirmed that they would run it. They only told people that had attended their weeklies because they didn't want people from another local store to go. So they kept it a secret from essentially everyone that wasn't this core group. And they ran what was essentially a closed event for 8 players. I want to say I understand the motivations for doing that, but I think it's bad. Every prizes are nobody is entitled to specific prizes, right? Prizes are earned. So if prizes are on offer and you want them, then you work towards earning them. Lots of players that are good at card games have spent many, many years losing, and I reference myself. I didn't wake up one day and think I'll be good at Lorcana. I lost playing Magic for 10 years. That's how it happened, right?
Mhm.
You develop skill over time and navigate yourself into that position.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's like nobody is entitled to specific prizing because they attend weeklies. Like that's what the weekly league prizes are for. But everybody is entitled to play this game. Gatekeeping hurts everyone. Everyone deserves the opportunity to compete if they want to.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter what store they
Mhm.
play
Mhm.
at. You
Mhm.
should be able to turn up at a store and play in these tournaments, and that's why the rules are set out as they are. I know that I'm preaching to the converted. Like everyone listening to this will believe that, but if you are in one of these communities that shuts its doors during set champs, like see if you can encourage them to open it up,
Mhm.
because it's
Mhm.
just more players playing together is good.
Mhm.
If you want to like improve at the game,
Yeah, that's yeah.
you can't be afraid of players that are better than you. You can't be afraid of the only people that are afraid that could potentially teach you something.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
You must embrace the learning process. And yeah, I don't know. It's such a subject that's been done to death. Like I know so many stores have done it, and
That's a
people
subject.
always get annoyed.
That's what something I heard the first time because you say it's like a
Yeah.
subject.
Oh, that's
I
so.
never
So
heard
you
about
don't hear of
something
people.
like that.
Yeah, maybe it's a British thing.
Uh.
um, yeah, but you understand what I'm saying,
Yeah,
right? It's
yeah,
like
of
they
course, and
want.
I think it's important that you say that. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
yeah, of course, there should be no
it's
doubt.
it puts me in a really tight spot because I am a competitive player of this game. That's how I enjoy this game, and that's like the way that I get fun out of the game is trying to figure out what is good into a meta game. What can I play to win in this environment, and also aligns with how I play. It's brilliant. That's like the core of what I enjoy about card games. Um, Casual players also need a space to play and enjoy the game in other ways. But if I'm punished for not going to weekly league, because which means I get excluded from set championships because I don't go there, like the reason I don't go to weekly league is because I don't want to ruin people's experiences there.
Mm-hmm.
If they turn up to league, which is the casual environment, and they think, oh, you know what? I love Beauty and the Beast. Here's my Beauty and the Beast theme deck, or here's my Puppies deck, or whatever. I'm enjoying the game in a more casual way. I'm not stressed about winning.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want me to turn up with like Purple Steel Dock and just fire the cannons a million puppies. Like no, nobody's having fun there. But that's what gatekeeping would force me to do.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I would be incentivized to turn up every week and make the weekly play unfun for lots of people that are trying to
Yeah,
enjoy the
that's
game in a casual setting. So just everyone loses. That's just my feeling going away from it. It's like when you I understand. I even empathize with like the motivation for doing it because of course you want to reward the people that turn up every week. I understand where it comes from. Shutting your doors to competitive players is so not the way to do it.
nah, no,
Um,
no.
I also agree that more support needs to be there for like casual players and to encourage casual play. But it just can't. It just shouldn't be
Nah,
done
no,
by
it's
taking
not.
away from what is like we have
It's
such a
it
good local
separates it
competitive community.
it separates
Yep.
also the community very much from each other. Like,
Yep.
it's no good for. Yeah, I think that I think you cannot make arguments too much against that. Hopefully,
Yeah.
I don't think. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
you're
Well,
totally
it's like
right.
the in terms of like separating the community, that's exactly what's happened. Um, I had like two close friends that I always enjoy interacting with at set championships that went along with this and that went along to the event and they were in the in group that got to know about it. I asked them the night before at the Saturday tournament, "Hey, if I turn up tomorrow, am I going to find anything at this store?" And they lied to my face. They had to lie to me because they were protecting the store owner's lie, which I forgive them for because
Yeah, it's weird.
I
Yeah,
at first I was like really hurt, and then I thought, you know what, you've been put in a horrible position there. I forgive it.
yeah.
Whatever,
I
it's
think.
fine.
Yeah.
Like somebody has put pressure on you to maintain their lie, basically. So it's fine. We move on from that. But when you have things like that going on, that's just damage to the community.
Yeah,
Now I like
yeah.
that's an experience between me and people that I like, that
Mm-hmm.
bonds made through the game that are just soured by gatekeeping, essentially. Every person loses. I don't
Yeah,
want to go
yeah.
back to that store.
That's
Other people won't want to either. And it's like we really are building something really good. There's a really interesting and like a thing I wouldn't have predicted about this game's community at all. Like everyone is trying. This game has such high casual appeal through like the IP that I would have expected half the players to be super casual. I can barely find a casual player. All of the people that fit demographics that previously would have been casual, like parents that turn up with their kids, sort of thing. Everyone is improving.
Mm.
They're all enjoying this game in a competitive way. I don't want to. I'm not saying casual players don't exist, or I'm not saying it's not fine to enjoy it that way. But loads of games struggle with their pipeline from casual player to like competitive tournament attendee. This game has it down really well. I couldn't tell you why, but it does. These players are all coming through, learning the game, getting better, eventually winning prizes and promos at set champs and stuff. And it's awesome. It's like really cool to be a part of because it's like that growth and you see how rewarding it is for people to beat a player that they perceive as like a top player locally and what that does for
Mm-hmm.
them in terms of their motivation and satisfaction and everything. It's all experiences that should be like protected. And I do feel really strongly that like gatekeeping just fractures communities and it's really negative and I just really don't like it. I really don't like the position that my friends were put in by that situation and
I'm really shocked.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm really.
it just sucks for it just sucks for
Yeah,
everyone.
I'm
It
really
it
shocked because I never heard of something like this before, and I would say. No, I can't say it, but it's like I would be really surprised if I see it that much happening here. I don't know if it's if your Germans are too strict or something, but I never heard of something like this before, and I think it's like a bit of a disaster. I think it's not accurate. It's also not
it's really
fair.
not
It's not. It's shouldn't be. Yeah.
it's really not good for nurturing communities. But at the same time, it's like I don't expect everyone to do everything perfectly all the time. Like this is an error of judgment. and I think everybody involved realizes that. So like some people, they see this happen, and the natural reaction is, well, report it to Ravensburger, tell them. Yeah, it's important someone mentions that happened so that it doesn't happen again. But also, like, you then do have to give the store a chance to do right the next time. Like, so, like, I just hope they do right next time, basically, and that this doesn't become a thing that catches on, because all you can really do, like, it's just a mistake. All you can really do is say, like,
of course, it's a mistake.
look, you were trying to do something with good intentions. It backfired, and now let's do it the right way, and that's it, right? Like, that's all you can really say about the situation. It just, it was.
Yeah, and I think it's important that you mentioned it. I think it's good that we have public voices against that, and I think at least for me, for example, I would be like really upset, not upset, but really sad if some really if I would be a like casual true competitive player and one really competitive player would be there. I would be really excited just to watch him and maybe to play against him and to I think it's I would be happy if someone really better than me it's like controversial, but it's like is there to just because I get better too then, and I think it's important, of course.
Yeah,
yeah
it's a it's a complex and odd situation, and obviously different people's motivations will be different, but I just think that like it's like being around in this game since the beginning, I have had the chance to see like my local community, which is fractured because I don't live in a big city. It's more of a cluster of 4 or 5 groups that all live roughly half an hour to an hour from each other. But between these groups, there is a very strong community. Together, they all mostly attend every set championship. And that group as a whole is like fantastic because there are small rivalries between little groups, but nothing's really like, no one really cares. It's like when your friends from your local store win, you're like kind of happy, but also like, who cares? Like it's in general, it's just about the whole collective, which is great, which is like this rising standard of player, and it's really good for everyone. So yeah, I wanted to mention that because it did make me feel bad at the weekend, and I did sit and think about it for a long time, and obviously your instant reaction is always going to be quite negative because no one wants to be frozen out of something that they wanted to play in. But on reflection, like I understand everybody's motivations, and I also appreciate that people have tried to do something that sounds like a good way of achieving what they want to achieve, but isn't really. It does damage the community in the long run. And I'm aware that conversations have already happened between Ravensburger and stuff, and people have already committed that it will be different next time. And so there is nothing. There is nothing to correct. It's just a mistake, and I just wanted to say that for people that like. I've heard many stories from different people, especially in the UK, some places in the US, of this happening. I don't know. It feels like something that's semi-important to talk on because it's happening and it does harm the community. But if you're experiencing that sort of thing, like just speak to your store owner, because if we want the game to survive and thrive in the long term, we have to be one community. And closed doors hurt everyone.
Of course.
Inclusivity doesn't just mean help people feel that they have a place in the game. It means that everybody has a right to play and a space to play in. Closed doors harm everyone, basically.
Yes. Nice. I think next week will be more exciting. It's always exciting, but I think next week we will have a lot of more news for talk about. Like hopefully we get a lot of confirmed reprints and stuff to talk about, and will be a really exciting one, right?
Yeah, it's good. The next few weeks sounds like such clickbait at the end of every episode. Like, next one's going to be so much more exciting, guys. Come on. But it's like the next few weeks are going to be really, really interesting. And I will try to keep track of some of those set numbers, some of the things that are coming. coming down the line, because I think it's going to be. I'm looking forward to sharing some theories on what I think is coming back, what's not. And I mean, what are we now? Week after this one, we'll have our card reveal. That'll be very fun.
Yeah,
we get to reveal card again. Super cool, and it's all going to be really nice time. And we will try to work out the next format together.
Yes,
I will. Together, we will find a way through, everybody.
Yes.
We will work this out. Don't worry. By the time you all go to Bologna, we'll know what's good.
Yes, and you can crush everyone if you listen to this podcast.
Yep. it's just that easy.
Yeah, it's just that easy. all 3,000 weekly listeners will crush Bologna if they listen to this. Yeah.
Every single
all will
one of our
win.
winners.
Every single one will win.
Yeah. Every listener will win that DLC.
It's
that
easy.
I understand. Yeah. I understand it doesn't sound possible, but just wait.
Just trust us, okay?
Yeah.
Don't question anything. Just trust us.
They're gonna. If you're a Ravensburger or Fanfinity employee, you better bring a lot of Mickeys. You're gonna need a lot of Mickeys for that DLC. You've got a lot of winners to pay out. Just come prepped, because we're looking at 1,000 to 2,000 winners, which also means Worlds is going to be a big tournament. So Worlds going to be really big next year.
Nice. With that crazy statement, we wrap it up, right?
Yeah, I think we should.
Yeah, thanks everyone for listening. Excited for next week's. And till next time. And bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.